On the day the vicious female supporting character eloped, she saw the bullet comments. As I was packing my belongings to elope with Li Lang, a line of text suddenly floated before my eyes. Great, the female supporting character is finally about to exit. It wasn't in vain that our girl worked hard for over half a year. She can finally replace the female supporting character and become the heir's consort. My hand, holding the bundle, paused. I rolled my eyes, then lay back down on the bed. What's going on? Why isn't the supporting female character leaving? If she doesn't leave, how can our precious daughter become the heir's wife? And if she can't become the heir's wife, how will she inherit the mountains of gold and silver from the Marquis estate? A down-and-out Marquis estate actually has mountains of gold and silver. I pulled the quilt over my head, closed my eyes, and let the cuckoo outside scream its throat hoarse. Freedom is worthless. Don't say the Marquis heir is just a fool. Even if he were a dead man, I could make do. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful stories every day. Now the story begins. I am the legitimate eldest daughter of the minister's household, the kind with a father but no mother. However, it's not much different from having neither father nor mother. My mother was originally the daughter of a general. But she had ill fortune. She married my father and died from complications while giving birth to me. 3 months after her death, my father couldn't wait any longer and welcomed his new wife into the household. According to my nanny, the new wife entered with a bulging belly. Feeling it was unfair to my mother, my nanny took me and returned to the general's residence. I lived carefree at the general's residence until I was 6, when my grandfather, the general, was sent away by the emperor and my grandmother fell seriously ill. My father seized the opportunity to bring me back under some pretext. From that day on, my good days came to an end. A biased father, a two-faced stepmother, and a half-sister who pretends to be weak and innocent, all of them disgust and sicken me. Yes, even though Liu Yanran's mother is now my father's second wife, I still consider her an illegitimate daughter unworthy of public recognition, ambitious, yet utterly foolish. She thought I didn't notice that she deliberately introduced me to Li Lang. I was just going along with their plan, wanting to take the chance to escape this household without having to marry a fool. But now, reading those words, I've changed my mind. The next day, I deliberately slept in and didn't go to the main courtyard to pay my respects. Instead, I closed my doors tight, reading books and drinking tea inside, waiting for the show to begin. Sure enough, before long, the courtyard gate was kicked open with a bang, and footsteps of varying heaviness could be heard outside the room. Unfilial daughter, come out. It was my father's voice. TSK, TSK, TSK. His temper is as bad as ever. And master, our young lady caught a slight chill this morning after waking up. She took some medicine and has just fallen asleep again. Xiao Yuan's voice trembled with fear, sounding like an explanation but even more like she was hiding something. Wretched servant, get out of my way. TSK, TSK, TSK. Not only rude, but also quite irritable. I really don't know what my mother ever saw in him. Just as that figure drew closer and was about to push the door open, Liu Yangran abruptly stopped him. Father, you must not. Liu Yanran's voice trembled with a sob, her words faltering. Even if my sister has made countless mistakes, she is still the eldest daughter of the minister's residence, my elder sister. If people were to find out that the eldest daughter of the Liu family has eloped with someone, how could I ever marry in the future? Without even opening the door to take a look, you have already condemned me. Liu Yangran really can't even be bothered to pretend anymore. Does she still think she's the young lady of the minister's residence, engaging in such disgraceful behavior that brings shame to the family? I've long considered her no daughter of mine. As expected, whatever she says, my father believes without question. But father, elder sister, and I are both daughters of the Liu family. When one is honored, we all share the glory. When one is disgraced, we all suffer the shame. This sentence is very useful. My father fell silent. He withdrew his hand from the door. Outside, the opera was in full swing. While I leisurely sipped my tea indoors, though I had no intention of interrupting them, I couldn't help but shake my head. I really can't figure it out. Since Liu Yangran wanted to be the consort, why didn't father just betroth her to the heir back when he arranged the marriage? Or is it that Liu Yangran, just like her mother who was once a mistress, simply enjoys taking what belongs to others. Unfortunately, she can't even manage to steal properly. She didn't even bother to check if I had really left before starting her dramatic performance right there in the house. Her methods were utterly clumsy, yet some people just fall for such clumsy tactics. Like my father, and those floating texts, "The girl is right, a family prospers and suffers together." What a grand perspective. To protect the female supporting character's reputation, the girl actually knelt down. 555. The ground is so hard, it's heartbreaking, it must be said. Our girl has a great sense of righteousness. No, do those people upstairs even open their eyes to see? This is just a show orchestrated by the female lead herself. What's there to be moved about? Besides, the supporting female character never eloped with anyone. In modern terms, what she's doing is no different from spreading malicious rumors. Oh my, it seems not everyone is blind after all. Unfortunately, the text was scrolling too fast, and that insignificant remark was quickly drowned out. Just then, Liu Yanran's voice sounded from outside the door again, carrying a hint of suppressed excitement. "Since my sister has caught a cold, it would be best to let her rest and recover properly. As for the Anping Marquis estate, the heir is already unwell himself. He certainly wouldn't want someone seriously ill. A cold tilde seriously ill tilde. That's a rather clever excuse. Yangran, have you really thought this through? After all, the heir of Anping Marquis is outside the door." My father's voice gradually softened, as if he couldn't bear it. "Father, for the sake of the Liu family, your daughter is willing." If I had known the Anping Marquis manor had inexhaustible gold and silver mountains, I would have been willing too. Marrying a fool for the sake of the Liu family, our daughter has sacrificed too much. Fortunately, the Marquis manor has some silver to make up for it a little. Yes. That's why we say our girl is a lucky star. The Marquis's wife has been managing the finances for years, with more money than she can spend. And she's long grown weary of it. As soon as our girl marries over, she can take over the household management the very next day. From then on, the minister's residence will never have to worry about money again. That's right, our daughter is a little expert at making money, and, I won't spoil it. Don't and what? Spit it out already. I hate people who tease without revealing the details. I wonder how I can block these annoying words. These idiotic things are so infuriating to look at. However, being able to manage the household the day after the wedding is exactly what I wanted. After my mother passed away from a difficult childbirth, the dowry list and the keys to the storeroom also vanished without a trace. My father at that time punished my mother's personal maid with the charge of stealing from her own master. His intentions were truly all too clear. All these years, I have wanted to recover my mother's dowry. But Liu Yangran and her mother guarded it too closely, leaving me with no opportunity to act, and since my maternal grandmother passed away, my maternal grandfather has been stationed at the border. I truly couldn't bear to trouble him with such trivial matters. So, even though I was living in dire straits at the minister's residence, I kept enduring it. Sometimes, the spare money I had on hand was even less than what the maidservants around Liu Yangran had. Without money in hand, nothing can be done properly. Thinking of this, I sighed over and over again. Mother, why did you have to die so early? If you were here, how would that mother and daughter dare to withhold my monthly allowance, dare to deny me charcoal in the winter and ice in the summer? In the minister's residence, I, the legitimate eldest daughter, lived worse than the first-class maid in my half-sister's courtyard. Even so, that mother and daughter still weren't prepared to let me off. I couldn't figure out before why Liu Yangran was so insistent on urging me to elope with Li Lang. Now I understand, she had her eyes on my marriage arrangement. This engagement to the heir of the Marquis of Anping was suddenly arranged for me by my father when I was 8 years old. At that time, the Marquis of Anping's household was at the peak of its power, deeply favored by the emperor. The Liu family was merely a humble household. I couldn't even begin to guess what my father had done to secure this marriage alliance with the House of Anping. What puzzled me even more was why he would give such an advantageous match to me instead of Liu Yangran. So much so that on the day the betrothal token from the House of Anping arrived, Liu Yanran's gaze toward me was filled with venom. However, despite their hatred, with this marriage contract in place, Liu Yangran and her mother no longer dared to openly bully me. So, In the following years, although I was a bit poor, life was at least peaceful on the surface, until 3 years ago, just as my wedding with the son of the Marquis of Arnping was approaching, the ever-victorious Marquis of Arnping suddenly suffered a defeat and died on the battlefield. Even the heir of the Marquis of Arnping was severely injured. Though he survived, he woke up as a fool. The Marquis of Arnping's household, which had flourished for a century, suddenly showed signs of decline. Soon after, rumors began to spread throughout the capital. They said I was born with an ill-fated aura. When I was young, my mother died because of me. Just as I came of age and my wedding was approaching, I caused the death of my future father-in-law and injured my fiancé. I naturally didn't believe the rumors, but I always felt that the successive misfortunes in the Arnping Marquis manor were somewhat suspicious. Moreover, since this marriage was chosen by my father, I always maintained a skeptical attitude. It just felt somewhat unreliable. Otherwise, why would he give it to me instead of Liu Yangran? That's why, when Li Lang appeared, I seized the opportunity to find a new path for myself. After all, Li Lang does have his merits. For instance, he's wealthy. He is, after all, the youngest son of the wealthiest family in Liuju City. When Liu Yangran met him, he had just lost a bet and was being punished by pretending to be a beggar on the street, begging for money. Liu Yangran thought she had found a beggar to humiliate me, but she didn't know the beggar had a hidden identity. To be honest, if I hadn't seen those words saying that following Li Lang would lead to no good outcome, and that the Marquis's estate actually had mountains of gold and silver waiting for me, the wealthiest person in Liuju City, I really couldn't bear to let go. It's just that I stood Li Lang up last night, yet he hasn't come looking for me today, which surprised me a little. This made me believe those words that said following him would lead to no good outcome. Seeing that the outside was gradually calming down, I set down my tea and stood up. Since it's a play, there should always be a turning point. So, I opened the door. Before you dare to covet my fiancé, have you ever asked for my opinion? Watching the expressions of shock, hesitation, confusion, helplessness, and panic simultaneously appear on Liu Yangran and my father's faces, I curled my lips into a smile. Feeling quite satisfied. Ah, my girl, run quickly. There are villains lurking around. What's going on with the vicious female supporting character? The position of the consort belongs to our precious girl. Why hasn't she eloped with that poor scholar yet? Side characters should have some shame. How dare they say our girl is coveting her fiancé? Clearly, she was the one who looked down on the young master first. It's our girl who's kind-hearted. Not minding that the young master is a fool, those words were flying everywhere, but I couldn't help rolling my eyes. If I didn't know the Marquis's mansion had countless gold and silver, no, if I weren't afraid of actually bringing misfortune to that foolish heir, why would I choose Mr. Li over him? But now, do not believe in rumors, do not spread rumors. Promoting science starts with me. I stood at the door with a beaming smile, watching as my father's face turned pale and then flushed. I don't know if it was disappointment or embarrassment. In the end, he simply glared at Liu Yangran, flicked his sleeves, and slunk away. How strange. Back then, they forced this marriage on me without my consent. Now they want to change the arrangement and give it to Liu Yangran without my consent again. How could such a good deal exist? Do you think this is some kind of business deal where you can buy and sell as you please? Moreover, from the perspective of the Liu family, since both are daughters, what difference does it make to him whether I marry into the Marquis household or Liu Yangran does? Would he go so far as to tacitly allow Liu Yangran and her mother to ruin me just to pave the way for them? Indeed, my father did not reach the position of minister by being mediocre. Liu Yangran and her mother's acting was truly clumsy. Even I could see through it, let alone my astute father who had seen countless people and navigated the official circles for many years. I just don't understand. Even if he didn't like my mother, I am still his legitimate eldest daughter. Why does he hate me so much? I didn't watch his hurriedly departing figure, closed the door, and wiped my face. Damn it, I clearly didn't want to cry. The words were still fluttering, but I couldn't be bothered to glance at them again. Anyway, soon enough, I would no longer be a member of the Liu family. If the Marquis of Arnping's household won't come to propose marriage, then I'll take the initiative myself. I left home in the morning, and by noon, the marriage proposal was made. When I arrived with the matchmaker, Lady Anping had just ordered the noon meal to be served. Roasted duck, meatballs, spare ribs, roasted goose, glazed shrimp balls, crystal dumplings. The variety was dazzling. As if each dish was greeting me, I swallowed hard. No. I couldn't keep looking. Although the minister's household never deprived me of food, every day it was just plain porridge and simple dishes. I haven't seen such a lavish lunch in a very long time. Raising my eyes, I struggled to look past the table full of delicious delicacies and bowed to Lady Anping. Then I took out the token I carried with me and handed it to the matchmaker. "Madam, I am here to propose marriage." The Lady of Anping Marquis remained motionless, her expression indifferent. The matchmaker kept her eyes and thoughts to herself, probably thinking that today's silver would be hard to earn, but she still maintained the necessary professional ethics, pinching a flower, raising her voice, and swaying her waist as she approached the Lady of Anping Marquis. "Madam, the young master and the eldest young lady are truly a match made in heaven." Smack, a gold ingot was slapped onto the table. "Get out. Thank you, madam, for your generosity." The matchmaker beamed with joy and scurried away, clutching the gold. Wait, what happened to professional integrity? I paid my share too. 100 coins is still money. I saved for a long time. The matchmaker left, leaving me alone and feeling rather awkward. I shifted my feet, about to head back to the residence first and discuss it later, when I heard Lady Anping say lazily, "Since you're here, why not join us for a simple meal?" "Excellent. Thank you for your generosity, madam." I glanced at the table laden with exotic delicacies, steadied my composure, and thought to myself, "You call this a simple meal?" Smiling, I took the bowl and chopsticks from the maid and found a seat as far away from the marquise as possible. As soon as I sat down, a servant came to report, "Madam, the young master has arrived." This was not the first time I had seen Qin Yanghui, but in the past, I had always kept a respectful distance and never looked at him closely. Upon closer inspection today, he is indeed exceptionally handsome, truly worthy of being the Venus that once captivated many young maidens. It's just a pity that this star fell a bit too early. The only son of the Marquis of Anping, with a majestic and handsome demeanor, is a natural-born bright pearl. Not only does he come from a prominent family, but he also possesses considerable talent for military strategy and leadership. At 15, he followed the Marquis of Anping to the battlefield and achieved numerous military merits at a young age. At 18, he was even granted the title of General who pacifies the North. Alas, the good times didn't last. A year later, he suffered a devastating defeat and severe injuries. With his mind damaged, the genius general turned into a fool overnight. Tragic, and even more lamentable. Just as I was sighing for Qin Yanghui, the text in front of me was wildly clamoring, so handsome. What's wrong with the vicious female supporting character? Why is she still lingering? The young master belongs to our female lead. She better not even think about getting close. Exactly. Get lost. Supporting female character, stay away from our young master. It's all because the female supporting character is monopolizing the young master. Our female lead's halo value hasn't increased for 3 days. I frowned. Halo value? What's that? Whatever it is, if it's related to Liu Yangran, it can't be anything good. At this thought, I looked at the words cursing me, licked my lips, and softly uttered 2 words, "Not a chance." Why does it feel like the supporting female character can see the bullet comments? +1. So this thing is called a barrage comment tilde, and it seems these people can see my reactions anytime. If they find out that I can see the bullet comments, will they stop giving me more information in the future? Thinking this, I averted my gaze and turned to Qin Yanghui with a lovesick expression, no longer paying attention to those bullet comments. Sure enough, after I deliberately ignored countless bullet comments that were either cursing me or testing me, those people overturned their previous speculations. I scoffed lightly. It's no surprise that those who like Liu Yangran are all fools. Mother, why is there a sister here? Qin Yanghui isn't completely foolish, it's just that after that injury, his intelligence and memory were forever frozen at the age of 8, and the 8-year-old Qin Yanghui might have known the young Liu Zhizhi, but he wouldn't recognize the grown-up Liu Zhizhi. I put down my bowl and chopsticks, stood up, and was about to greet Qin Yanghui when I heard Lady Anping say with a laugh, "Huia, how about keeping this girl to be your wife?" Great, Great. Qin Yanghui clapped his hands repeatedly. Huia is going to have a wife. A beautiful sister is going to be my wife. Well, better focus on eating. As for the rest, who cares? After finishing a chicken leg, I always felt like someone was watching me. Turning my head, I met Qin Yanhui's smiling eyes. Sister, do you like chicken legs too? Then I'll give you this one of mine. The young man's eyelashes curved gently, but a shadow had crept into the depths of his eyes. Unlike the clarity of Qin Yanghui when he was 8 years old, I felt somewhat puzzled. Always sensing that something wasn't quite right. Unfortunately, before I could think it through, a large chicken leg was placed in the bowl in front of me. To this lady, who acted as if she hadn't seen it, continuing to eat her own meal. I really liked this kind of atmosphere. After thanking Qin Yanghui, I went back to focusing on my chicken leg. The meal was very harmonious. I was left wanting more. Before I left, the Marchioness became much more affectionate towards me, holding my hand and saying, "The marriage between you and Yanghui was arranged by General Billionaire Marquis. We should have come to the minister's residence to propose earlier, but Huia has been in mourning for the past few years, so it was delayed. Please go back for now, and in a couple of days, I will personally come to your home to propose." I didn't catch what the Marchioness said after that. I was only shocked by that one sentence. This marriage was actually arranged for me by my maternal grandfather, not my father. Damn it, why did I only find out now? No wonder, I knew it. My father is practically useless. How could he possibly arrange such a good marriage for me? So it was my grandfather after all. If I had known this earlier, why would I have even run? My grandfather would never harm me. However, at this moment, the barrage of comments began to cheer for Liu Yangran. Why is the female supporting character just relying on the fact that she has a general for a grandfather? Our poor girl is truly pitiable. With no powerful maternal family to back her up, whatever she wants, she has to rely on her own efforts. Unlike some people who were born in Rome, what's the rush? Sooner or later, the heir will belong to our girl. Although I don't know where Rome is, no matter how you put it. This is my marriage. If Liu Yangran wants to snatch it, she simply can't. The Marquis's wife was true to her word. On the third day, she had people carry large and small boxes of betrothal gifts to the minister's residence to propose marriage. My father has always been good at keeping up appearances. He accepted the betrothal gifts with a smile and even set the wedding date with the Marquis's wife for 1 month later. With that, the matter of elopement was completely put to rest. I thought Liu Yangran would try to cause some trouble to sabotage my marriage with Qin Yanghui. Unexpectedly, from the time the Marquis's wife came to propose until she left the Liu residence, Liu Yangran stayed in her own courtyard and did not come out. If, as the bullet comments said, Liu Yangran needs to marry Qin Yanghui to gain that so-called halo value, then she would definitely try to snatch this marriage for herself, instead of staying as quiet as a chicken like she is now. It wasn't until the evening, when Xiao Yuan brought back the information she had gathered, that I finally understood what was going on. Xiao Yuan said that my father promised Liu Yangran he would help her secure the position of third prince's consort. Coincidentally, the bullet comments also helped confirm Xiao Yuan's information. Wow, our girl is so clever. The third prince also has numerous military achievements. And his military power is even greater than that of the Anping Marquis household. If we can win over the third prince, what does the Anping Marquis household matter? Losing it is no big deal. It's just a pity that the third prince's household isn't as wealthy as the Anping Marquis household. What's there to fear about no money? Our girl is a little lucky star. She'll naturally find a way when the time comes. Don't forget, the third prince is of the royal family. The prestige he carries is far greater than that of Qin Yanghui. What the person upstairs said is right. Our girl is the heroine of a satisfying story, the destined empress. With the third prince as a stepping stone, the road ahead will surely be even smoother. What, empress? Could that fool Liu Yangran really become an empress? I was so shocked that I almost laughed out loud. No, I need to stay away from this family of lunatics. I don't want to get blood splattered all over me later. As the barrage of comments said, the third prince still agreed to marry Liu Yangran, but only as a concubine, reserving the position of principal wife for the prime minister's daughter. TSK. It seems the third prince's ambitions are not small either. He and Liu Yangran are indeed a perfect match. What I didn't expect, however, was that their marriage would also affect me. Stepmother gave Liu Yangran the majority of the family's assets as her dowry, claiming that since she was about to become the third prince's concubine, her status was now highly esteemed. As for me, I was left with only some scrap metal and odds and ends, barely managing to scrape together 3 dowry chests. They are truly going too far. If the lady of the house were still here, she would never have let the young mistress suffer such humiliation. The nanny looked at the shabby dowry and couldn't stop her tears from falling. I didn't pay much attention to it. There's still the betrothal gifts sent by the Marquis of Arnping. Those items came from the Marquis of Arnping. No matter how thick-skinned they are, they wouldn't dare to use them. The nanny finally felt a bit better. Fortunately, the young master still cares for the young lady. Otherwise, I didn't join in the sigh. As for the dowry, I had already made plans in my heart. I thought that in a few more days, news would surely come. Sure enough, on the day before the wedding, the person sent by my maternal grandfather arrived. It was none other than my eldest cousin, Bai Hong. After years apart, he had become a vanguard general. My maternal grandfather was a border garrison commander, forbidden to return to the capital without a summons. Though my cousin's rank was lower and not bound by such restrictions, he still had to report to the Ministry of War first before coming to see me. But as soon as the eldest cousin stepped through the door, the barrage of comments went wild again. He's here, our devoted second male lead has appeared. Phut, what devoted second male lead? He's nothing but a shameless simp. If it weren't for his good looks and decent halo value, our precious female lead wouldn't even glance his way. True enough. As the cousin of the villainess, getting a proper burial from our precious female lead when he dies is more than he deserves. Me, am I the crazy one, or are these people insane? Is being executed by Liu Yangran some kind of supreme honor? If it's such a glorious achievement, why don't we offer it to them instead? Perhaps the look of pity and sympathy on my face was too obvious, for as soon as my elder cousin approached, he anxiously asked, Gigi, what's wrong? Who bullied you? Tell me, and I'll stand up for you. Looking at my brother, who has always cherished and protected me, and recalling the words from the bullet comments, a sharp pain pierced my heart. I will never allow such a thing to happen. Since Liu Yangran seems to desperately need this so-called halo value, I will take all of it for myself. At this thought, I let years of grievances surge out like a tide. Cousin, my mother's dowry was taken by them. What? A woman's dowry is the foundation of her standing in her husband's family. Even after her death, it should be returned to her maiden family or inherited by her children. But now, Liu Yangran and her mother are openly seizing my mother's dowry. Even families of humble origins wouldn't stoop to such behavior, let alone the household of a third-rank minister. I embellished the story of how Liu Yangran and her mother had mistreated me, telling my cousin all about it so he could see Liu Yangran's true nature as soon as possible. That way, he wouldn't be deceived by her. Upon hearing this, my cousin was indeed furious. This is simply outrageous. Do they think the Bai family has no one left? Then he asked, do you have the dowry list from our aunt? I shook my head. If I had the dowry list, I wouldn't have been so helpless against them all these years. I remember grandmother kept a copy of the dowry list. Wait here. I'll go back to the Bai residence and fetch it for you right away. My cousin left in a hurry. I was deeply moved. So this is what it feels like to have someone backing you up. Soon enough, my cousin found the dowry list from back then. It was a full 10 pages long. I skimmed through it and found that many of the jewelry pieces worn daily by Liu Yangran and her daughter were actually from my mother's dowry. I knew it. Holding the dowry list, I didn't confront my stepmother. It's useless to go to her about such matters. She's always been good at acting shameless, even if she's covered in my mother's dowry. She still won't admit it. Going to my father won't work either. If seeking his help were useful, I wouldn't have spent all these years unable to reclaim my mother's dowry. In reality, all these years, the minister's residence has been sustained by my mother's dowry. Of course, my father was reluctant to part with it, so I simply knelt before the Yingtian prefecture with a written petition. Since they have no shame, I'm not afraid of losing face either. When my father saw me in Yingtian prefecture, his face turned ashen. But with my eldest cousin present and the Lady of Amping also having sent someone, no matter how unwilling he was, he had to face me in court. The case was straightforward, and the prefect was fair and impartial. Without much trouble, I recovered my mother's dowry. However, because of this, my father intends to banish me from the Liu family. He said, "We were a perfectly fine family, and you're the only one who insists on causing trouble. Your sister is about to become the third prince's consort, and as her elder sister, instead of thinking of ways to support her, you only care about yourself. How utterly selfish and cold-hearted." I replied, "Selfish? May I ask, Father, where were you when my mother was in critical condition during childbirth? After my mother passed away, why did her dowry inexplicably end up in the hands of the stepmother? All these years, have you ever shown me even the slightest care befitting a father?" My father glared angrily. "How dare you? How dare you question your elder? Ha! Only when a father is kind can a child be filial. Father, even the books make this clear. Surely you understand. What, are you blaming me, your father, for not being loving enough, or now that you've climbed to a higher branch, you no longer have our Liu family's reputation in your eyes? If father insists on thinking that way, then so be it. Fine, fine, fine. From today onward, the Liu family no longer has a daughter like you." Heh, as if anyone would care. Liu Yangran had such ambitions, but with that fool's surplus of ambition and lack of intelligence, she would likely bring trouble to the Liu family sooner or later. In that case, I might as well take this opportunity to draw a clear line early on. Although I secretly wished to sever ties with the Liu family as soon as possible, on the surface I still had to pretend to be deeply wronged and forced into this situation. So, in front of the Yingtian prefect and the many onlookers, I laid bare all the ways Liu Yangran and her mother had bullied me over the years and how they had withheld my monthly allowance and provisions. My cousin and everyone from the Marquis's household were utterly shocked, and they all expressed their indignation on my behalf. But my father was absolutely furious. He believed that family scandals should never be aired in public. He didn't care how much suffering I had endured over the years. All he knew was that I had embarrassed him in front of so many people, and he wouldn't stand for it. Ungrateful daughter. How dare you? Silence. I ignored him and continued, "I told you to shut up." Smack, a crisp slap echoed, and the entire room fell silent. I covered my face, glaring at him angrily. "All these years of suffering I've endured, Father, you knew all along, but you simply didn't want to intervene. If that's the case, why did you bring me back from my maternal grandparents' home in the first place?" My father's face flushed red then turned dark, and he finally forced out a sentence. "Since you no longer wish to be a daughter of the Liu family, I will request the clan leader to open the ancestral hall and remove you, this unfilial and rebellious daughter, from the Liu family genealogy." Tears streamed down my face as I poured out my grievances through sobs. "Since that's the case, then father should consider that he never had a daughter like me." In front of the magistrate of Yingtian Prefecture and everyone present, I kowtowed 3 times to my father with deep respect. Cutting ties with the Liu family was the first step I needed to take. This way, no matter what Liu Yangran does in the future, it won't affect me. However, my father's actions truly did not take me into consideration. Tomorrow I will be married off, and a bride without the support of her family is like a drifting duckweed. My cousin noticed my worries and immediately stepped forward. "Gigi, rest assured, the Bai family will always be your strong support." The person sent by the lady of the Hu household also chimed in. "Young madam, rest assured, the Anping Hu manor will be your home from now on." I felt a wave of emotion. See, I am fortunate too. Although I don't have the protagonist halo like Liu Yangran, I still have people who cherish me. Oh no, the halo value on Bai Hong has disappeared. It's true. What should we do now? That was 30 points of halo value, and now it's suddenly gone. Where are we, the girls, supposed to get so much halo value to make up for it? Watching the frantic barrage of comments, I curled my lips into a smile. What's the rush? This is just the beginning. Not only the 30 points of halo value on my cousin, but also the more halo values on others. I will destroy them one by one. Because of yesterday's farce, today's wedding is also cold and cheerless. Father and stepmother sat in the positions of honor, both with cold expressions on their faces. Liu Yangran stood to the side, the emotions in her eyes hard to decipher. Perhaps it was because she hadn't managed to obtain the 10-point halo value from Qin Yanghui, leaving her with a bit of regret. After a simple farewell, I boarded the bridal sedan chair heading to the Anping Marquis Manor. The Anping Marquis Manor might not be entirely peaceful either, but for me, anything would be better than the minister's manor. After all, that was a marriage match my grandfather personally sought out for me. I could distrust Qin Yanghui, I could distrust the Lady of Anping, but I trusted my grandfather. I entered the bridal sedan. Qin Yanghui mounted his steed. And with music and fanfare all the way, we headed toward the Anping Manor. Perhaps before setting out, the lady of the manor had given him instructions, so along the way his face showed no expression, his back ramrod straight, he looked quite dashing and impressive, just like the celebrated general he once was. What a pity. With a light sigh, I lowered my gaze and followed Qin Yanghui back to the Anping Marquis Manor, unlike the cold and desolate atmosphere of the Minister of Personnel's residence. The Anping Marquis Manor was bustling with distinguished guests. According to Xiao Yuan, even the Crown Prince and the Third Prince had come. I had no idea why they were here. Qin Yanghui was already a fool. What's so interesting about a fool getting married? Moreover, the wedding of the Third Prince and the legitimate daughter of the Prime Minister is in 3 days. Why isn't he busy with his own wedding preparations at his residence instead of coming to the Anping Marquis Manor to join in the excitement? However, this question was destined to remain unanswered. As soon as Qin Yanghui was sent back to the bridal chamber, he was so exhausted that he fell asleep immediately. Besides, even if he were awake, his current mind and memory are stuck at the age of 8, and he wouldn't understand all these twists and turns of court politics. Watching Qin Yanghui sleeping soundly, I closed the door and turned to go to the adjacent room. My eldest cousin left the capital for the border 3 days after the wedding. Before leaving, he said to me, "If Qin Yanghui dares to bully you, just write to me. No matter how far away I am, I'll come back to deal with him for you." I thought, how could a fool like Qin Yang bully me? But I still nodded. After marrying into the Anping Marquis household, I rarely saw the bullet comments anymore. I don't know if it's because I'm further away from Liu Yangran. Life at the Marquis of Anping's residence was better than I had imagined. Since I had never learned household management while at the Ministry of Personnel's residence, the Marchioness didn't immediately assign me such duties. Instead, she took me along when reviewing accounts and inspecting shops, gradually teaching me how to manage finances and run the household. 3 months into the marriage, I spent my days learning household management from the Marchioness. In the evenings, after putting Qin Yanghui to sleep, I would return to my own side chamber. For 3 whole months, it had been like this. The Marquis's wife said nothing, and the servants dared not comment. For me, such a life was like leaping from a wolf's den into a blessed paradise, until one day, in the dead of night, while sleeping in a daze, I caught a strong whiff of blood. The smell of blood was coming from Qin Yanghui's room. Fearing that something might have happened to Qin Yanghui, I didn't even bother to wake Xiao Yuan and immediately rushed over. "Who is it?" The moment I pushed the door open, a cold gleam shot straight toward my face. "Brother Yanghui, it's me." That night, I don't know what state of mind I was in as I stopped Qin Yanghui's bleeding and bandaged him. It wasn't until after the bandaging was done that Qin Yanghui held my trembling hand and asked softly, "Don't you have anything to ask me?" I shook my head desperately. I didn't want to hear anything. I only know that Qin Yanghui is not stupid at all. Then what do all the nursery rhymes I've been singing these days count for? Are they the price I paid to board this pirate ship? However, just because I don't want to hear about certain things doesn't mean Qin Yanghui doesn't want to talk about them. It turns out that the death of the Marquis of Anping in battle 3 years ago was not without hidden reasons. It was a man-made disaster in the truest sense. The Emperor, fearing that the Marquis of Anping's achievements would overshadow his own authority, secretly placed his own men within the Marquis's camp. On the battlefield, blades and arrows are blind. Injury or death in battle are common occurrences. Thus, the Marquis of Anping fell in battle, and his heir was severely wounded. Although Qin Yanghui managed to survive, he became a foolish and dull-witted child after waking up. Despite this, the Emperor's suspicions were not completely dispelled. Qin Yanghui observed the 3-year mourning period, yet the Emperor never mentioned the matter of inheriting the title. Thus, to this day, Qin Yanghui remains the heir of the Anping Marquisate, not the Anping Marquis himself. With the Anping Marquisate's century-old foundation on the verge of collapse and the emperor no longer reliable, if the Marquisate wished to regain stability and establish itself anew, it would have to seek out a wise and capable ruler. I asked, "So which prince did you choose?" "The third prince." Hearing this answer, my vision went dark. "Why him?" "I am aware that Qin Yanghui knows about my falling out with the Liu family, and now, the third prince's concubine is Liu Yangran, who also doesn't